What's up? What's up? This is Mike Johnson from Mandatory Conversations Podcast with Mike Johnson. And I am here this week again with my man, Mr. Titus Unlimited. What's up, bro?
What's happening, man? What's going on? Thank you for having me.
No, man, it's great to have you. So we said last month we talked about this. We said how we were gonna have once a month, man. We're gonna have you on. We're gonna do this this podcast specifically this particular week or whatever. We're gonna dedicate to men. We're gonna dedicate to health. We're gonna dedicate to fitness. And you're my expert, man. It's no better person I could think of to have on here than you to do this with me, my Silver Fox Squad brother. But before we get into our podcast for tonight, man, first of all, let me just say this publicly to you. Congratulations on the book, man. Much success. I'm looking forward to getting my copy. I'm looking forward to reading it, man. I'm super excited for you. Just real quick before we start, why don't you go ahead and tell the people about the book? I know you have a copy right there. Show them the cover. Talk to us about it a little bit. Then we'll get straight into the podcast, man.
Yeah, so the book is entitled Unlimited, all right? And the reason, the motivation behind the book is, for years as I've been on social media, people have always asked me about writing a book. And, you know, I'm not necessarily the most self-aggrandizing person. So I was like, you know what? Maybe if enough people ask over a long period of time, you know, I'll consider it. And so I've been diligently working at it for about a year plus now. And what it does, it just takes people through my evolution, my reset, my understanding of what life is supposed to be about, and then my actually beginning to live life on my terms, not for other people, a life on my terms in service of other people, focusing on a couple of principles that was taught as a kid. You know, I talk about lessons from my parents, you know, especially my dad and my mom. But my dad always used to say, the true measure of a gentleman is someone who puts more into the world than he takes out. You know, a lot of people come into the world looking to get, but, you know, having seen people grow through life, and especially seeing my dad go through life and even his death, I understood the true riches that you can experience in life is the richness of enriching other people, and inspiring other people in a way to where those people then become a better version of themselves. Because money fades, you lose money,
Yep.
You know, but it's about the seeds you plant, especially in other people. When you see those seeds grow, that's where value comes. Because, you know, we talk about people being valuable. People like to talk about a high value man. And what people don't understand, what a high value man is. A high value man is not dictated by your bank account or your social status. Your high value is dictated mostly by the value you can impart or engender in other people. When you can raise the value of the people around you, and encourage them to be better versions of themselves, that's what makes you valuable. When you can bring that much more currency to the spaces around you, you know. And so, you know, that is what I aspire to be, and that's, you know, that's the energy behind the book. What it took me to hit that reset button, some of the trials, the courage that it takes, and to let people know it's never too late. But every day you spend on the other side of that is a day wasted.
Yeah, I would agree with you, man. Again, congratulations, Titus. In fact, when I saw that you had published the book, I literally started an outline for a book myself about 3 months ago. And when I saw you had done this, it was really encouraging, because it was like, all right, he's done it. You know, now I have someone I can talk to about doing it myself. And like you, I want to write a book, you know, that's somewhat similar to what you're talking about. It's about my life story, but how I've overcome different challenges from where I made it from to where I'm at today. And then, man, just how faith has played a part in that. My wife, my kids, even the Silver Fox Ball, all of these different things, how I've gotten to this particular place. And so just want to let people know, you and I had a small discussion right before we got started and talking about it's not trying, but doing. And that's pretty much what life is about, right? It's really doing. And then the successes come along with that. You're going to have some failures, but you're going to have some successes as well. So want to talk to folks about that, encouraging people like yourself, like you just said. That's really what it's about. That's what we do, right? Not just as members of the Silver Fox Squad, but as men in general. And might I add, black men in general, because we really, especially at this time, we need to have more of that. So congratulations, man, and kudos to you. On tonight, man, let's get this thing started. I have brought the health guru here. We're talking tonight, aging strong, the pros, cons, and necessity of muscle after age 50. And this is a subject matter that, first of all, let me just say this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Do me a favor, please, like, subscribe to the channel, Mandatory Conversations Podcast with Mike Johnson. Please do that for me now. Please invite others to join. Also, please share this because tonight's topic, just like all the rest of them, this one is really important, especially to those of us who are age 50. A lot of us, Titus, think that, we'll lift weights to look good, but it's more to just lifting weights and exercising, especially as a man and woman for the most part, after age 50. There's so many benefits of helping us, in terms of what life will look like, not at just age 50, but at 55, again at 60 and at 70, because really this exercise that we're doing now is prepping us for what's going to happen to our bodies at age 60, at age 65, at age 70, even possibly age 80. And so I'm not going to belabor the point, man. I want you to get into it. I have a ton of questions, but I want you to kick us off. And the first thing is, man, you go ahead and start where you want, and then I'll jump in with the questions because I know you have a lot of great information. Before he gets started, you may want to take out a pen and paper. I see this every time I talk to this man. You may want to take out a piece of paper and a pen so that you can take notes. You're going to want to take copious notes. I'm telling you, I promise you, and you're going to watch this podcast over and over again because of the information for men. And I want to say this real quick before you start, Titus, because this is a testament to you. One, if you've seen how Titus looks, you will want to do this. If this is for vanity, you're definitely going to want this. if this is for vanity for this man at his age, I won't even say what his age is. I'll let him tell you how old he is or how young he is and how in shape and how fit he is. But it's something to see him on television. It's something to see him on a podcast, but it's a whole nother thing to see him in person. You can really get appreciation for how he takes care of himself and what he inspires others to do to help take care of themselves. And again, just real quick testimony. Titus is the one who helped me to lose weight, to get in shape, to start thinking about how I look in pictures, so forth and so on, but not just for pictures, but for health and all the rest of these things. So I promise you, in the Silver Fox Squad, all of us, we follow his advice, we listen to what he says. That's the reason why you see a consistency, and you see other groups who try to look like us, but if you ever paid attention to how they physically look, there is no group out there who physically looks like us for our age. And I'm telling you right now, we're on the other side of 55, most of us, almost all of us, and we look this way. And it's because of this man right here. So Titus, with all of that said, thank you again, man. Congratulations on the book. Take us there, bro.
Yeah, so thank you very much, man. And let's start off with this. And since we're writing stuff down, a lot of people don't know this, but aging is a disease. I want you to write that down. Aging is a disease. It's a disease that's brought on by nutritional deficiencies and poor lifestyle habits. So, inasmuch as it is a disease that's brought on by nutritional deficiencies and poor lifestyle habits, it is also a disease that can be reversed with better lifestyle habits and optimizing your nutrition. So the human body, a lot of people don't realize, the human body builds and destroys cells every day. Okay? Now, our environment and just natural oxidation is what destroys cells. Now, if you control your environment, meaning the things around you and the things you put in you, right, you can slow down your body's natural oxidation and aging. All right. And as far as the rebuilding part, you dictate what your body rebuilds with. Once again, the environment and the natural and raw materials you put in. So now, if I were to cut myself here right now, first thing that happens is I bleed. The next thing that starts to happen is I clot. How well I clot is dictated on what I ate over the last 2-3 months. Okay. And then when you clot, you scab. How well the skin heals underneath that scab is dictated by my diet and what I put in and on my body over the last couple of months. period. And so when we start to look at our diets now, if your diet consisted of old fashions, hot dogs, Cheetos, and all those things like that, that skin that comes back is not going to be as taut. It's not going to be as thick. It's going to be thinning. Why? Because the raw materials you're putting in your body is subpar. All right. So that's why we see as people age, their skin sags, right? It's a little looser. It doesn't have as much elasticity because they're lacking collagen and biotin and all the other raw materials that go into making taut skin. Plus, you're also drinking sugar. You're eating sugar. You're oxidizing your body. That's just simple. That's just skin. All right. Every single organ in your body, your liver replaces itself every 6 weeks. Your stomach lining changes every 3 days. Okay. So there's almost nothing that you can't heal from if you create the right nutrified environment within your body. However, it takes 6 months for all that to turn over. And it's that 6 months of consistency. Every time we look and say, you give yourself 6 months, you can have a whole new body. That's why. Okay. So even when it comes down to muscle, one of the single most telling ways to dictate how you're going to age is muscle mass and muscle capacity. Okay. If you look at most people, and the muscle actually that dictates this more is leg strength. And
I'm going to talk to you about that a lot when we get into this.
And a lot of people don't realize why leg strength, because your legs is what takes you around. The moment you stop having the capacity to move efficiently,
mobility,
you start heading towards death. Okay. They did a study. They showed most people, I think it's 60-something% of people who have a broken hip and or leg past the age of 65 is within 10 years of death. Right. And so understanding that and then prioritizing, like you said, strength, mobility, endurance, and all those things is how you're going to optimize how you age. When we even look at diseases like high blood pressure and diabetes, right? A lot of those things can be controlled with your level of muscle mass, because the amount of muscle I have and how I use my muscle is the biggest consumer of insulin and sugar. So if you have that diabetes, right, and let's say your sugar is high, right, and you want to bring your sugar down without taking medication, do 20 squats and watch what happens.
Yep.
Your blood sugar will go down. All right. And so muscle mass and controls a lot of how we age.
Yeah, man. So listen, to that point, I wanted to talk about this because I've read a lot of studies that talks about building your muscles. Like a lot of men don't realize, Titus, because they'll focus on the vanity part of their body, which is normally chest, arms, back, right?
Right.
They really don't focus on their legs. And what happens is you'll wind up having a strong back, chest, arms, whatever, but you have weak legs. And you don't realize it or how much you need your strength in your legs. And like you said, until you get into your 60s probably. Then you start noticing, oh my God, my hips, why can't I move? Like I'm trying to do certain things that I just can't squat. You know, my knees are killing me. I got to have one knee replaced and I got to have a second knee replaced. I got to have a hip replaced. And then the other one is because we never took the time earlier on when we were younger to strengthen those muscles and to, you know, and some of these exercises are unbelievably easy to do, but you got to practice them. It's a daily thing. Doesn't require a whole lot of weight. Sometimes it requires more repetition than anything. For example, I saw a doctor, he said, you know, one of the best exercises you can do is getting in and out of a chair, standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down. The reason why is because that's the exercise that you're going to do most of your entire life, from a kid all the way to the time you're probably 90 years old. But if you can't get out of your chair, you become immobile, like you said. And you see this with people. Once you become immobile, your life is for the most part over. You're confined to a particular space in a particular place. So now it's not just, you know, it's not just you're immobile, just immobile. In your mind now, you start to give up on yourself because your body can't do what it could before. You can't go on vacation. You can't walk 10 feet. You can't go to the pool. You can't even fix yourself something to eat a lot. To go to the bathroom is a task, right? And we see this. And so one of the reasons, again, I want to do this because I want men to start thinking about really how much exercise they need and what exercises, particularly, Titus, are best for men over 50. And this almost applies to women as well, because women need to do this too. So I don't want to discount women, but I really wanted to focus on men because I have you on here, and this podcast is for the most part dedicated to men, but what we do impacts women as well. We want them to be a part of the conversation. So Titus, with that said, which exercises, it's two-part question. Which exercises, one, would you highly recommend, especially for a man that's 50 and over, or maybe let's just say 50 to start with then, because I don't know if it changes. You can tell me if this is the difference. It doesn't. Okay, cool. That's great to know. So over 50, and then is it reps? Is it weight? Is it a combination of reps and weight? And you may have to explain some of those things as well.
So let me just clear this up about men and women. Muscle mass is equally as important to women as it is men, if not more.
Okay.
Okay. More women break hips and fall past the age of 65 than men, because women inherently have less muscle mass. And so they actually have to focus on it harder past the age of 35, 40. All right.
You said, wait, hold on 1 second. You said past the age, not even 50. You just said 35 and 40.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize, people think middle age is 50. No, average age of death in the United States is 76. So middle age is 37.
Ooh, scary. You just said something right there. Real quick, guys, please feel free to jump in the comments, ask questions. Titus is here to answer those questions for you. Please jump on in and do that.
So as far as exercises go, the two most efficient and effective exercises to keep you in optimal shape, in fact, three. The three most efficient exercises to keep you in shape will be squatting, deadlifting, and sprinting.
Reasons why, by the way, each one.
So there's a line of muscles in your body called your posterior chain. You touched on it earlier. A lot of people look at the vanity muscles, which is your chest, your biceps, and stuff like that. All power in the human body comes from your back. So that's why I remember that song back in the day. Put your back into it. You can do it. Put your back into it. All your power comes into your back. So I know how strong you are from the size of your back. Yeah. I know how strong you are from the size of your back. All right. And so the posterior chain is a line of muscles that run from the base of the skull all the way down to the base of your calves. All right. And they work in concert for posture, for power and explosiveness, all right, and for what? Stability. Okay, so doing something like deadlift. So you mentioned whether or not the rep range matters, right? I can give someone basically 4 deadlift exercises that will have you in better shape than most in 2 months. All right, and so it would be several different modalities. Number one, you could do one for volume. Okay, so you come in, you would put a moderate weight on, right? And you would do 10
weight, by the way. What's a moderate weight?
That's going to depend for you. So a moderate weight is what you can do for a certain amount of repetitions. All right. So let's say a weight that you can comfortably do for, let's say, 10 reps.
Okay.
All right. So then you would do 10 reps, rest for 2 minutes, put 5 pounds on each side, and do 9 reps. And then 8, and then 7, all the way down to 1 as you go up incrementally in weight. That's a volume exercise. The next one would be more for a heavyweight exercise. You would pick a weight that you can do about 5 reps with, right? And you will put on that weight and you will do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's more for power and strength, right? And then there's another one that you can do for immense endurance, where you would put a moderate amount of weight on that you can do 6 times, but you're going to do 6 reps every minute on the minute. Bro, that is better than any sprint, any cardio you can do, because it sounds easy for the first 2 sets. By the 3rd set, remember now, rest is rest is
just 1
shorter
minute between each one, right?
No, so let's assume you started it with 1 minute on the clock.
Gotcha.
You would do 6 reps. By the time you get done doing 6 reps, maybe about 17 seconds or so has passed. You got at that point 43 seconds to rest, and you go again.
Yep.
And then you go again. And then by the time the third time comes around, it's harder and harder to catch your breath, and it is a dog of exercise. So between stuff like that, and then even when it comes down to squatting, well, a lot of people when you get past a certain age may not want to put compression on their neck, on their spine. Fine, but there's many different variations of squats. So goblet squats and or suitcase squats, but you can do many different types of squats. But getting nice and deep flexion of your knees and your hips, opening out your hips and squatting will also strengthen your legs. Those right there, if done in regular rotation, right, will have you more than straight. And then last but not least,
well, hold on a second, Titus. Before, I didn't mean to cut you off because I want to ask you this, because I know most people don't realize there are different variations of squats, right? So of course you can put the weight on your shoulders if you want. You can also take a barbell and put it exactly. Yeah, you can describe it. Yeah, describe at least three different versions. I do 2 of the 3, but go ahead and describe the 3 versions.
Yeah, so there's going to be back squats where the weight is behind your neck on your back. There's front squats where you can put it on your collarbone and hold it like this or hold it like that, depending on the flexibility of your wrist. Yep. You can hold a goblet here, higher up, right, and squat more vertically. But then you can also stand on a platform with an open space underneath you and hold it between your legs and squat for a deeper pit squat. Exactly. So there are variations. They all work your legs. There is no wrong, right? It's just where the load is, and you just adjust for that. Yeah.
Good. I just wanted you to explain it so people would know.
Yeah, for most people, a lot of people do not like back squats, right? To each his own. You don't have to do back squats. You can do any one of those other ones efficiently. You can even do things like I always forget. I'm not forgetting the thing now. But when you do single leg squats, okay.
Off the bench, you mean? You're talking about off the bench.
Yeah, off the bench.
I know which one. I forget the name, but I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. Bulgarian split squats.
That's it.
Bulgarian split squats. So even when, and I recommend that you also do some single leg movements. Things like lunges are single leg movements. The reason why is because in many instances, we do actually walk around on one leg. You walk one leg at a time going upstairs. So having the individual strength on legs is highly important as well. Doing things like step ups. Okay. Those things are very efficient. Even when you're doing lunges, right? Believe it or not, you would be surprised how difficult it is if you don't practice to walk backwards or run backwards.
I just learned it. I've just really started doing it just to get in the practice of doing it.
Yes.
To your point, yeah.
Running backwards is a coordination thing and also a strength thing, right? Having
even
your hands
walking backwards.
Yep. And so you'll find a lot of times when people get older, sometimes the worst falls happens when they get knocked off balance, going to the right or left, whether going backwards, because their body freezes up and they just like, boom. And it's very simple that the brain connection to just take a larger step back to catch your balance is no longer there.
That's exactly it. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So once again,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So once again, that goes back to that quote, poor lifestyle habits. Because your body, just like your brain, just like anything, can basically atrophy. And so your body is conditioned to do everything it used to be able to do before, except that you stop doing it.
Yes.
And so once you build up the habit of doing it again, right, it will reconnect.
Yeah, and it's the habit you just talked about. But I want to talk to you because I know I do a lot of this, and because I want people to know you should definitely lift weights. It don't have to be heavy weights. They can be light weights as well. Because I think some people think sometimes when you're weightlifting, you see somebody like yourself, Titus, where you lift for you to be your age, to be able to lift the weights that you lift heavier than some 20 and 30-year-olds, right? Yep. Not all men or women can do that. But you can also lift with lighter weights. But I do a lot of calisthenics. I love doing calisthenics because it's just, it's just a part of life, how I grew up in doing things. And it's sometimes quicker and easy because if I can't get to a gym, then I can do that, which is just basically lifting your own body weight, which Titus, as you know, a lot of people have problems lifting their own body weight. Most men, I didn't know this, most men our age, Titus, can't do 50 push-ups. They can't even do 30 push-ups. And we're not talking about the ones, where you cheat and where it's your neck bobbing up and down. We're talking about your whole body almost going to the ground and your
Full
body
push-ups,
back up. Yeah, it's not your neck movement. That's a neck up. I don't even know if that's a push-up. And so a lot of men can't do that, where we can do these things. And so I want to talk about I want you to talk about calisthenics as well, because that's just as important. And if you can't get to a gym, you don't have weights, you can lift your own body weight, but that even takes practice as well.
Yeah. So here's something that I always have to remind people: 95% of people don't need to go anywhere near a gym. Okay.
Wow.
So you can be in phenomenal shape without ever having lifted a single weight. Okay. And it's evidenced also by something that's right in front of us that we don't even acknowledge. We always talk about how fit a lot of people come out of jail. Look, do you realize a lot of jails do not have weights? All those guys do is they do push-ups until they pass out, and pull-ups and squats.
That's it.
Okay. So your muscles, I want people to remember this quote: your muscles do not know weight. Your muscles know failure. Your muscles do not know weight. Your muscles know failure. So if you actually sit there and do push-ups until you literally fail, it sends a signal to your muscles. Muscles tear and they repair. So the only two things that have to happen is your body has to get to a point where you can't go anymore, right? And then on the backside of that, you have to give yourself adequate amounts of rest so your body can repair, and adequate amounts of food or nutrients so that when it repairs, it's able to repair stronger. That's it.
Yeah.
So whether or not it takes you 400 pounds on one rep to get to that point, or it takes you 79 push-ups in succession to get to that point, your body doesn't care. But a lot of times what people don't realize is with this calisthenics and or lighter or moderate weight, right, there's a drastic reduction in the propensity for injury. And so I always ask people this: what is more likely to happen? Me having to deadlift 500 pounds, or me having to help a friend move and have to move 50 boxes that weigh 75 pounds?
Exactly.
Yep. Because the person who can move 50 boxes that weigh 75 pounds and wake up the next day without a backache, in many ways is better and more functionally strong than the 500-pound deadlifter who needs straps and belts and all those things like that. Because with me, when it comes down to lifting, I have a rule. If you ever see me squat, 450 plus, I do it with no belt, no straps. Because in a real life situation, right, I don't get to say, wait, let me put on my belt, my straps, and my gloves. I got to pick it up.
Exactly.
So anything I pick up, I can actually pick up. And so even when it comes down to things like squatting, one time I did a 225-pound squat 50 times straight in 2 minutes. That's real strength and endurance. No belt, no straps, just up and down 50 times. All right. So now, does everybody have to be able to do that? No. But if you can squat your own body weight calisthenics 100 times straight, you are functionally strong.
Yeah. So we talked about calisthenics a little bit. We talked about the back and all those kind of things. What are two other exercises, or I guess, is it a total of 3 or 5? How many different exercises do you think a man needs after age 50 to really kind of work himself body-wise to make sure he's strong going into his 60s and his 70s, so forth and so on? We talked about the lift, I guess the back and all that kind of good stuff so far.
There's a couple of markers of strength, standard markers of strength. Number one, being able to do 50 to 100 body weight squats. Okay. Being able to do 30 to 50 push-ups.
Well, hold on a second. 50 to body weight squats. So if a man over 50 right now, 50 and above, can't do that, is he considered, I don't want to say weak, but is he considered weak, Titus? Not weak-minded, but just his body, his muscles are weak.
You do not have optimal strength.
Okay.
You do not and would not be considered to have full command over your body. In order to have full command over your body, you have to move your body, be able to comfortably move your body across multiple planes. Right.
And that's 50 squats in a single set, meaning one set equals 50 squats up and down, 50 times.
50
Doesn't matter how fast did you do it, just 50 up and down.
Just 50 squats without break.
Right. Is that weightless or is that with a weight?
No, that's weightless, body weight. Everything I talked about is body weight. So
Gotcha.
50 body weight squats, 30 to 50 push-ups, 10 to 20 dips, 10 wide grip pounds facing forward pull-ups, uh, being able to run a mile in less than 9 minutes, and oh yeah, and also being able to carry your body weight for 50 meters straight and or dead hang from a bar for over a minute.
I know most men can't do that. That's a tall, and that's just for women too. Most women probably can't do that as well.
and
Um,
most and most people these days, Michael, sadly, are grotesquely out of shape.
yep. Since you said that, and most people don't want to hear it because they got this whole body shaming thing, Titus now, and all the rest of that. But let's just be honest. If you're out of shape, you're out of shape. If
Yeah.
I guess let's call a spade, I guess a spade, and this is not offending anybody, but if you're fat, you're fat. And
Right.
this is where, and this is where we got to do something about this because this fat is weighing us down. It's making us sicker. For most men don't realize, and you can talk about this a little bit. We could jump back to the exercise and all, but they talk about men who have that body fat that's basically in their stomach that they're carrying around at 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds in their stomach. How that's killing them. That's if you have that right there, the potential for a heart attack, the potential for all these other kinds of things happen to you increases exponentially.
Dramatically. Yeah, because first of all, a lot of times when people see that distension in people's stomach, what people don't understand is it's not subcutaneous fat is not your problem. It's the visceral fat. It's the fat that's in your abdominal cavity. That fat wraps around things like your heart and lungs, makes it harder for them to expand and contract. So that's why a person who's overweight, when they try to walk upstairs, they get out of breath faster. You're also carrying a lot of weight. What people don't understand is this, Michael. You are born with a certain frame. Your knees, ankles, hips, back, neck, all are a certain size by the time you hit 25. Just because you decided to add 75 pounds of weight does not mean your bones get any bigger. It's your structure. So now imagine having a Ferrari, right? But loading up cinder blocks in the back seat like you would in an F-150. Well, you might carry it for a while, but guess what's going to happen to these struts, which are the knees of the car? You're going to wear them out. Yeah. Guess what's going to happen to the transmission, which is the heart of the car? You're going to overload the transmission. The same thing with the human body. Unlike cars, the human body, it takes a couple of years, right? But look at how many of our friends and associates, they get to age 50 something and they start dropping dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they've been overworking that heart for 20 or 30 years. Look how many of our friends get to 50 something years old and they need a hip or knee replacement. Well, you've been carrying that 30 pounds for 20 or 30 years. You finally wore out that hip and that knee. Okay. And so the same thing with the human body, and I said this to somebody the other day. Human beings are the only species of animal and or living being that do not live to optimize their performance. Okay? No other animal in the wild does not live to optimize its performance. Because if you're in the wild and you do not optimize your performance and you are a lion, guess what happens?
You get killed. Other lions will attack you.
You become prey.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you don't have enough energy to hunt your own food, which is you're dying anyway. Okay. If you are a deer and you overeat, you become the slowest one in the pack. So what happens to you when the pack gets attacked?
You're first.
You become lunch. Okay. But we have created a softer world where you have people in our world today. If somehow we snapped our fingers back and went 1,000 years back, they couldn't even feed themselves. Okay. Because they can't hunt, they can't gather. Okay. They don't have the capacity. All right. So think about your life and your fitness, right, as one of the key things that keeps you alive. Okay. And when we start looking at just the capacity to run a mile in less than 9 minutes, all right, or being able just to walk 3 miles consecutively without stopping.
I was
Think
going to ask
about
about that.
think about what people used to do for food. You have to walk to bring water. Even right now in Africa, you have people who walk miles to go get water, right? What happens when you can't do that? You
Dead.
become a liability.
Hmm.
Okay? What happens when you can't lug a load? Okay? Yeah, so all these things are we treat them like they're luxuries in our world today, but they're really not.
Man, I would agree with you. I mean, I was talking to my dad, and he was telling me about one of his friends, Titus, who's gotten a little older, but his health, as soon as he lost his legs, and I really want to talk about this, as soon as he lost his mobility, his legs, the strength in his legs, his life went, it just literally started going downhill. I mean, not even a little bit, it was fast paced. Like it's a fast decline
Yeah.
because something happens to you when you lose your mobility, not just in your physical strength, but in your mental, but your faculties and your mental faculties begin to weigh because you're like, now I'm the guy in the back where I was the guy in the front. I can't go with everybody else because I'm too slow. Nobody wants to take me because I can't just move like I used to be able to move. People realize you are a liability because if we go anywhere with you, that's an extra 40 minutes to get you to the car. That's an extra, we can't, so then we got to limit what we do. You can't fly. You can't do any amount of walking past 10 steps. So if we got to go up steps, we can't do that anymore. We got to look at a place where everything is on the ground level. It's all of these different things where you become this liability. And you at a point in time, you notice in your mind,
It
I'm now
weighs
a
on you.
liability. It weighs
Yeah.
on you. And it
Yeah.
begins to, it really, I think, begins to slowly kill you. That's what I honestly believe. Just
Poor,
watching. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, um poor physical capacity after a while becomes a mental liability because you lose your independence.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it was I was looking for. Yes.
You
That's
lose your
it.
independence, you know? And just having the independence of saying, I'm getting up and going here, you don't have that.
Mm.
And but here's what people don't consider. When you're standing outside looking at it, it doesn't seem as heavy, but imagine a person who has been able to get up and go for 60 something years. And now, in order for them to get up and go to the bathroom, they require the assistance of someone else.
Bro, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna mention that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does, especially talk about it as a man though, Titus, because I don't know what that's like for a woman, but I know as a man, if I lost my independence with Titus, I had to have somebody literally come get me out of my bed, get me dressed, physically take me to the bathroom, physically help me wash myself because I just don't have the strength to do it. Help me to go to the toilet, meaning help me one walk to the toilet or wheel me to the toilet, get me off the out of the chair, right? Sit me down on the seat, wait for me to finish, pull me back up, stand me up, get me ready, put me back in the chair, wheel me back, then pick me back up again and put me in the bed.
Right. Right.
Bro, as a man, that is,
Well, first of all, as anybody, that would
agreed, as
that
anybody.
would wear on you. But let me tell you the part. It's not even about the man or woman. You see, here's the thing a lot of people don't get about the last 10 years of life and why people die so fast,
Mm.
right? Especially when they get sick. Because we can talk all the stuff we want to talk now about, yeah, man, I'm gonna do this, I'm doing this, and what's worse? I mean, I'm just gonna die. Well, the truth is, very few people actually die. You live, but you live in that condition for 10, 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the other part that people don't talk about, that people like to try to act all cavalier about. Every day while you're waiting for that person to pick you up, to help you dress, to help clean you off,
Yeah.
you remember all those years when you talk so cavalier about health. You remember all those statements when you say, I can eat what I want. I'm gonna just die one day. Truth of the matter is, some of the reasons why I rail about this stuff so bad, Michael, I had a friend of mine who in the 30s and stuff, we're like, listen, man, you got to watch this weight, man. Oh man, I'm fine, man. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I'll just die. I'm die happy. Oh, okay, bro. But I was always, me, I'm that person. I'm gonna tell you
I
the truth.
do.
You're
Yep.
gonna get pissed off. You can get pissed off all you want,
Hmm.
because, but I'll explain that. So unfortunately for him, when we were around about in our mid 40s, he had a stroke. And when he had a stroke, he completely lost the left control of the left side of his body. So he couldn't do anything. And I remember one time talking to him, he's like, man, I really, I really should have done something better with his health, man. He says the wild part is, man, I want to kill myself, but I don't even have the strength to open the bottle. And they won't let me do it. So he literally suffered through that for 8 years before he finally died.
Wow.
That's what's waiting for most people. Most
Wow.
people won't have the luxury of dying from a heart attack. Most people are going to suffer. One of the most pivotal things I saw, you remember back in the day, boxing, there was a legendary referee, Mills Lane.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And you ever notice how Mills Lane just disappeared?
You know what? I didn't pay attention. Not till you just said it. No.
Yeah. So Mills Lane recently died in 2023. And when I looked it up, I found out, oh, Mills Lane had a stroke in 2001 that left his left side paralyzed and left him speechless. So he literally lived for 22 years in that condition. So did Mills Lane really live, or was he being kept alive?
It was the latter. And real
Right.
quick, Titus, we had a person, L. Mitchell said, so let's make fat shaming great again. And then don't fall for regret. Forgive yourself and live for the day you have. So just two quick things, just addressing the first question. So let's make fat shaming great again.
That's not necessary. That
Well,
fat shaming,
mhm. Go
fat
ahead.
shaming is not necessary. But what is necessary is acknowledging that you're killing yourself, and acknowledging and understanding that that route is probably one of the most selfish routes. Because here's the thing about a Mills Lane or my friend: you're going to now change the lives of your daughter, your wife, or somebody, the person who has to take care of you, okay, during that period of time. And that's that guilt. For if you have any kind of heart of a person, imagine right now if something like that were to happen to you. One of your daughters has to take off from her life, or Steph has to take off from her life.
Mhm.
And now their life is over because you made careless choices with your life. So it's not about fat shaming, it's acknowledging that this is not going to end up the way you want to, and you're literally killing yourself. So you don't have to shame anybody, but then at the same time, when you're talking to people about their health, offer them solutions. Don't just be somebody just talking about their health. What is the
Mhm.
solution? Give
Mhm.
people solutions. you
Mhm.
know Offer to help them. Not just shame them, but offer to help them. But do not be somebody that that sits there and and allow someone to kill themselves in front of you. And I know a lot of people who do this. They will see their friends, they will see their family doing things that could be poisonous or toxic to themselves, and they won't say anything because they don't want them to get mad at them. Well, that is
Mhm.
one of the most selfish things you can do, because you see, I, in good conscience, can't look at you doing something that is detrimental to your health and not say anything, and then feel comfortable coming to see you in the hospital when you have a stroke, because now I'm a hypocrite. Right here in my building, Michael, real talk, right here in my building, there was two guys that I spoke to about their health. All right. I said, yo, man, I see you around. You seem like a cool dude, but you put on a lot of weight, man. Let me help you.
Mm.
One of them did not take my advice. The other one did. The one that took my advice, I helped him over the last year, from October of 24 to October of this year. He lost 80 pounds, got
Mm.
off diabetic medication, everything. The other one died, heart attack.
Mm.
Now, the one that died, my conscience is free. I told you. All right. I did everything I could do. I told you multiple times. I warned you. All right. And even if he wouldn't have died, he'd been in the hospital, I would have a free conscience to go and see him and say, hey man, what's up? Because I know I didn't contribute. And not only did I know I did not contribute, I know I said and did everything I could to prevent this. But the people who will sit there and watch their loved ones eat themselves into the hospital, eat themselves into an early grave, and you don't say anything about it, right? You're one of the most selfish people that could walk the planet, because you're not doing that for them. You're doing that for you, because you don't want to lose the friendship. So you'd rather let them lose their lives.
Yeah, you said a couple of things in that, man. I do know people are very sensitive about someone saying something to them about their weight, and people won't do it just because of that, because it's taken offensively, or as this person, A.L. Mitchell said, they look at it as fat shaming. Really, it is fat shaming. It's just we care about you. We want to see you do something about taking care of your health. A.L. Mitchell also says, Titus, he says, Canada is allowing people to end their life. It's called the maid med assistance in dieting. What do you think? I've heard about this. I'll let you speak to it first, and I would love to know what you have to think about, what you have to say about it. Say and think about it.
Well, once again, I mean, that's up to you if you want to end your life, you know, but it's a shame to end your life because your life has deteriorated to a point where you can no longer enjoy your life, and it didn't have to come to that. You know, and think about how many people would end their lives because they're having a bad week or bad year. So I'm not necessarily, especially for something that can be solved, so people are emotional, and I do not think a government nor society should embrace that. But once again, at day's end, it is ultimately your choice, but whenever you decide to do that, think about the amount of people you rob of your presence.
Exactly. I would 100%. I have nothing to say about it. I would agree with you 100%. Want to jump back to the exercise on parties. I want to lift this up a little bit. I want to talk about legs. And you and I talked about this a little bit not long ago, and how people don't realize that your body actually has what's considered possibly two hearts, right? You got one in your chest, and you also have one in your calves. Right. And people don't realize that, not exercising your legs, how important your legs are to your heart strength. And that's crazy to me. Once I understood that, I was like, man, every day you got to try to do something with your legs to try to keep your legs, if nothing else, as strong as possible. I mean, of course, you want everything to be strong, but you've got to focus on your legs for a number of different reasons: your hips, your ankles, your thighs, all these different kinds of things. But I want you to get into all that, because people don't realize how important all these are. And I know as I'm getting older, I'm really starting to understand this about my joints, my tendons, my ligaments, all these different things, and how they all play a major part in my heart strength, not just my heart and my chest, but also on my legs, how it'll help that blood flow and all the rest of these kind of things. But I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people don't understand this, but that your calves are considered your second heart. And the reason why is because your calves sit very far from your body, but that calf strength and your ability to draw blood to your calves, right, is instrumental in that blood getting back up to your heart. And so that's another reason why when you see people become sedentary, right, they die faster. Why? Because the calves are not pumping anything. And so now your heart has to pump everything all the way down and all the way up itself, So even something like waking up in the morning and opening up your hips, but jumping on your toes 50 times, right? It encourages movement. The Chinese do this thing where they slap their bodies and stuff like that. Well, what that does is it forces blood to your extremities, but the movement brings the blood back. So the same thing with your calves, so there's been a lifetime of examples of simple things that do not require weights and or Gold's Gym membership. These things are new inventions. Okay. And yes, those things work for people like me who want to look like I look, but I am by no means the standard nor the blueprint of what somebody has to look like. All you have to do is be in reasonable shape and be able to comfortably master moving your body across multiple planes. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you look at activities of daily living. That's how they describe it in insurance, right? Being able to step back, put something down, being able to grab something from here, do like that. All these are movements that are normal. that don't necessarily require weights, but can you move a box from here and do this? People think that's something crazy to be able to do that. But what happens when your grandkid comes and you got to grab your grandkid and do this? That's the same movement.
The same movement.
Okay. That's the same movement. Bending down to pick them up. These are the same movements. That's a deadlift. It's a lighter deadlift, but it's a deadlift.
Picking up groceries, putting down groceries.
Picking up groceries. So people talk about picking up groceries. Think about a farmer carry. So that's your being able to hold your body weight and walk with it, And so these are these activities, but you have to constantly be prepared to do these things. Another thing that happens as you get older, what happens if your spouse passes out? Do you have the strength to pick them up off the floor?
Ooh, that's scary right there. You just said a mouthful right there.
Do you have the strength to pick your spouse up off the floor? Or are both of y'all going to wind up on the floor? Right. A lot of times that's the difference between life and death.
That is definitely, you're right. You're 100% right. Yeah.
And so you were talking about simple exercises like getting up in the chair. I got one of the best exercises for somebody who swear they can't exercise. And you start it today and you do it every day for the next 30 days, right? Man, you're going to be in some good shape.
Come on, tell us about it.
Get in the living room, lay on your back flat with your palms facing up, right? Have somebody start a timer and you get up off the floor flat. Get up to your right, go back down, get up to your left, and do it nonstop for 1 minute. See if you can do that. Describe
it one more time, Titus, a little bit slower.
So imagine laying flat on your back, okay? And now I say get up. So now you have to motivate and get up. First, get up rolling to your left, because, we all get up on particular sides, but being able to get up on the left side and the right side. Easy. So where you're getting up and you stand straight up, do like that, and then go back down.
Ooh. So you're basically lying flat. You're looking up at the ceiling. You either get up, roll over to your left or to your right, get up.
Yeah, and alternate.
Yep. And alternate.
Yep. Yep. So you get up, smack your thigh, chest, up, go back down. Nonstop.
Now, is that a time sequence, or how does that work? Or you
do it for 1 minute straight.
How many should you be able to do?
You should never stop moving.
I like that.
So whatever that winds up being.
Right.
Okay. Never stop moving.
Got it.
See how many you can get. And when you see how many you can get, see how out of breath you're going to be.
I guess the point is, can you do it?
Can you do it?
Yeah.
Okay. But I would love for you to see the average person try to maneuver that, especially getting up on the quote unquote other side. That's that building of that mobility that we forget, because you should be able to get up to your left and or your right. Okay. Yeah. But that's every single joint in your body is going to get activated. Every single joint.
That's good.
Because you have to push up, you have to sit up, right? You have to stand up. You have to do all that stuff. And this is just your body weight.
Wow. Everybody should be able to do that. Titus, before we get out of here, there's two quick things I got to have you talk about. And you can do whichever order you want to do. One, what's your opinion on walking? I love to walk. I do a lot of walking when I just can't do anything else. Like, walking helps me think, by the way. So just pacing back and forth. And plus, too, I try to make sure I'm not sedentary, because I know how we could just be sitting in chairs all day long just because of our work. And then two, and actually, I want to have you talk about this first. How important a person's hips are, what exercises you can do to help with your hips, because people don't even realize sometimes their hips are locked until they actually begin to or try to do different exercises or move differently where you got to use your hips.
All right, let me start with walking. Walking is the first exercise known to man. So, and if you want to get in tremendous shape, walk in a slight incline for an hour. If you were able to do a slight incline walk for anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour every day, a lot of your problems will be solved. All right. And then as far as hip mobility, right? Yes, There are the three most important joints in the human body, right? Is your shoulder, because it's a ball and socket joint, is your hip, because it's a ball and socket joint,
Yep.
is your ankle, because all pain emanates from those three joints. And the most important one that has the most amount of pain associated with it are your hips. And so just laying in your bed or laying on the ground and being able to do a butterfly, where you lay with the soles of your feet facing each other, and like that, the better the mobility is, you have that. Also doing things like a pigeon.
Now, what's a pigeon? What's a pigeon?
The pigeon's where you kind of sit up, but your legs are crossed, and it almost look like a figure four, right?
Okay.
But being able to move your hips, right, so they can move through all planes, because it gives you the capacity to be able to squat down.
Okay.
Right, being able to squat down. So yeah, hip mobility is everything, and that's where a lot of issues come. Poor hip mobility can also lead to poor sexual function, because if your hip cannot open up wide enough, well, especially as a guy, you don't have as much circulation in your groin. You don't have as much circulation in your groin. You can't pump as much to blood. So there you go. So
actually, since you're talking about that, hold on, Titus, hold on 1 second, because you just said something. Because I want to add for just 1 quick second. Kegel exercises. Most men don't even understand about, and because you just talk about Kegel exercises real quick, because we talk about hips, we talk about mobility, we talk about getting that blood flow and all the rest of that.
Yeah. So when you're laying there with the
well, first talk about what a Kegel. Talk about this. Tell people what a Kegel exercise is first. Then get into that.
So your Kegel exercises are the exercises that you can do that comes from the base of your groin that actually allows you to pump blood throughout your groin and your genitalia. All right. One of the easiest ways to be able to isolate that area is to lay with your legs, feet like that, and your groin open up in a butterfly position, right? And then focus on, the area they call the taint, contracting the taint and then forcing blood upwards, and or being able to hold, right, that hold right here in your abdominal area. Another thing that what a Kegel exercise is an example of, as you get older as a man, being able to pee a full stream of pee and then stop it.
I didn't know that. Okay, that's a good one. I didn't realize that. Okay,
that is your Kegel. That is that muscle having control over that muscle. Because if you can be peeing,
okay, yes.
If you can have a full stream of pee and then stop it, right, that means that you still have control over that. All right. Think about, first of all, a lot of people can't, if they have to stand there for an extended period of time before the pee comes out. And then a lot of them don't have the capacity to stop it. And that's what we call incontinence, when you cannot control that valve. And that valve is what pumps blood. That valve is what stops urine, all that stuff.
Got it. Now let's talk about how all that's important and how that's all related to the hips and all the rest of that kind of stuff.
Well, circulation. Okay. Circulation. We all know that if you sit in a position for a long period of time, sometimes circulation goes bad. And so being able to have movement in that area to allow for better circulation will improve erections, will improve sleep, will improve mobility, right? Will improve your capacity to use the bathroom, things like controlling your pee, Yeah. And those things deteriorate slowly over time. But luckily for you, those things can come back with the proper diet and lifestyle habits.
Got it. Best exercises, in your opinion, best hip exercises in the easiest ones. So we want to give people something that they can shoot for and it can be easily done.
And two best exercises. Number one, the butterfly, laying on your back, trying to put your feet together, and then pressing down on your knees so that they butterfly open. It's going to take you time, but you can get better and better at that. That's one. The other one is getting something to slightly raise your heel up off the ground, maybe an inch or so,
like a plate.
Like a plate, and just trying to sit down into a squat. So if you went to a gym, you can hold a pole, right, and just sit all the way down and try to get to the point where your butt or your thighs can touch the back of your calves, and
with
just
your feet
sit
flat,
there.
Correct?
Yeah, with your feet flat, and just sit there for as long as you can. You stand up and you go back down into it. So you practice that mobility. So you have range of motion in your hips, but it also gives you range of motion in your knees. One thing is, a lot of people who claim that they got bad knees as they get older, it's not your knees. It's your hips that are tight. And that hip tightness is pulling on the tendons and the muscles. So that's why you feel it in your knee. If you never had a knee injury, it's not your knee, it's your hips.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I was just going to mention too, most people don't realize this. They call it the Indian, sitting like the Indian position. When we were kids and you would sit down, that's what that is. And as you get older, it becomes a lot more difficult to do. And you're right, Titus. You think, that it's your knees. It's not your knees, it's your hips. That's what the problem is. You can't get your hips. Your hips are locked up. Once you get your hips free, you know what's interesting, because I started doing this, because I started watching some of these folks talk about this, how you first start off, with a pole or whatever, so you can do it. At a point, you can do it without a pole. You can, and you practice getting up and down, because like you said, now you're working on your hips, you're working on your knees, you've been working on your ankles for that part too, because you need your ankles as well, right?
Your ankles need to be able to bend a certain way. So, but just doing that movement, right, will loosen things up. And surprisingly, if you do it diligently every day, you can see massive improvements within the course of a week or two.
Yep. I'm gonna tell you what's interesting, right? I was riding my motorcycle and I was trying to figure out, man, why couldn't I kick my leg over my motorcycle the way I used to be? People the Titans, I'm telling you, man, the simplest things, man.
It's the little things.
It's the simplest. And I was like, damn it, why can't I? Like my leg, I was like, man, what is going on? And I realized, Titus, is my hips.
Hips are tight.
My hips were extremely tight. People don't realize you cannot ride a motorcycle if you can't throw your leg over the other side, whether it's left or right side. It doesn't matter which side it is. If you can't throw your leg over, you aren't riding. And it was just crazy, man, to think, damn it, what is going on? And I realized, oh, this is what's going on. Once I started working on my hips, opening them up, I could throw them over easily. Not a problem at all.
Yeah, one easy exercise that I do when I go in the gym, especially on leg days, I put the bar down just about mid-thigh height, and I stand next to the bar and I just step over it. It forces you to drive your knees up, and it forces your hips to be able to extend. So almost like you're doing a hurdle.
Exactly. You know what's funny? Right. I started doing same thing. I started doing what I call a side hurdle. So I had to put a gate up at my house for my dog. Right. So what I started doing was in the evenings, just practicing throwing one leg over, picking one leg literally up over the floor, over the gate, and the other one, same thing. And I did like 10. So you do 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, and you just keep doing. And you got to raise your leg up a certain height to be able to get it over. And if you don't, I knock the gate over. Right. So if I can't clear it, I start all over again from 1 until I can do it easily by throwing my leg over. So that I can, and you're walking, man, you'd be surprised. Again, we could talk about this all this, but how better your walking improves, your actual posture. We didn't even get a chance to talk about this, but how much better your posture becomes as a result of your hips, your back, all these other things. There's so many different things. We're going to talk about them later, but this is just teasing people, let them know you're going to get great information here with Titus. I promise you, as we did on tonight. And we're going to get ready to wrap it up as we get out of here. But Titus, I want to throw the last word over to you in terms of just exercise and how important it is, man, for us as men. And it's important for women as well, but I'm focusing on men here. Why it's so important, man, that we really, really begin to look at building our strength, our physical strength, building muscles in our bodies at 50, because at 40, 30, 20, it probably was easy because we focused on it so much. But as you get into your careers and you start doing these other things, having kids, you don't pay attention to how important having muscle is in your body, strong muscle is in your body, do little simple things day over day over day, so that by the time you're 60, it's easy, 70 is easy. It's not a hard thing to do. So I'll throw that back over to you, and then we'll kind of wrap it up from there.
Well, like we talked about, your independence is a big part of your manhood. And the thing that is at the base of all your independence is strength. And so if you don't have strength, you're not independent. If you're not independent, you're not much of a man.
That's what I was getting to, Titus. That's it.
So
that was it.
So, it's not even an ego thing. It's not a vanity thing. It's literally one of the main ingredients to your quote unquote manhood. So prioritize that and understand how important that is, and do it before you actually lose it and then you're trying to get it back, because that's when it gets really difficult.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, thank you once again. It was great. I can't wait to have you back next month for our talk. all things strength, all things, just physical exercise in your body, diet, all these different kinds of things, man. Thank you for on tonight, especially. You're always the right person to talk to. We're talking about, strength, especially for those in our 50s. And if you want to look good, because we didn't really get to this part, the vanity part of it, and looking like you do, Titus, because there's so much work that goes into it. And I want to talk about it another time, how much effort and time you put into your body. People wouldn't even realize it's a full-time job. Let me just say this. How much work you do in terms of not just the gym part, but the diet part, the nutrition, all that kind of stuff. People don't even realize how much effort that takes when you do, and you do it on a daily basis. Again, and we're north of 50. We're north of 55.
Yeah.
So just all of these different things, man, it takes to be able to stay in this great shape. I just want to say, man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the book. Titus, why don't you give out all your socials so people know how to get in contact with you?
Yeah, I'm easy to find. Everything is Titus Unlimited. So if you go into Google and you put in Titus Unlimited, everything comes up. My website comes up. My IG comes up. My real IG, not the fake one. My real IG. Do not engage with any platform that does not have a blue check. Instagram has a blue check. Facebook has a blue check, and you will find any connection to any other social from those places.
Exactly. And listen, thank you guys. This is Mike Johnson from Mandatory Conversations podcast with Mike Johnson. I so appreciate you for tuning in on tonight. Do me a favor, please like and subscribe. We need it. The algorithm really appreciates when you do that. So please do it so people will know we're out here giving out great information. Listen, we're out of here. We will see you in a week, actually in a couple of weeks. Next month, we're going to have Titus back again for another talk. Please do me a favor, share this with other people so they get this information because they absolutely do need it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to get up out of here. Peace!